Hi everybody, I'm Natalie with Missouri Star Quilt Company, and today I'm joined by Michael from Bryn Mawr Quilts.
Hi,
Michael,
how are you?
it's so glad to have you on set today.
Yeah, I'm so
I've
excited.
loved your work. You've been designing for a long time, right?
Yeah, about 6 years now. Thank you.
Okay, and
Yeah.
what brought you to quilting?
What brought me to quilting? Well, it's a long story actually, and it involves your mom.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I discovered her in a very difficult time in my life, and it just clicked.
Yeah.
And it was just a beautiful...
Quilting is therapy for lots of people. It's
Yes,
so great.
for sure,
So relaxing. Yeah. So you started designing quilts, and we've got one to teach today called Family Affair.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's one of my earliest designs, and I absolutely love it. And it comes together so quickly and so easy.
I love
Anybody can do it.
I love that you adapted it to a precut for us. That's so cool.
For sure. And it gives you a lot of versatility when you use a precut. So
I love it. All right, can we see your original?
Yeah, of course. Here we go.
I always love to show quilts in different fabrics if we can, because it gives people that creative license to use your favorite line instead of trying to make it exactly like the pattern.
And I love the fall, so that's why this is designed in that.
This is really cool.
And it's just really beautiful. It's a lot of fun. It was like I said, easy quilt to make, and I'm excited to bring it to you today.
All right, I can't wait. So Michael, what do we need to make this quilt?
So for this quilt, you will need one package of 10-inch squares, and we have chose Cottage Flowers by Susie Hetherington for Maywood Studios. We have an ½ yard of accent fabric, and that's for our little half square triangles.
Yep, and the little cornerstones. You'll see them on the quilt.
Beautiful. And we have, for our setting triangles, we have 1 1/4 yards for those.
Nice.
And we have taken our background, sashing, and inner border are all the same fabric.
Okay.
And for the background, you need 2 1/4 yards. For our sashing, it's 1 1/2. And for our inner border, it's 3/4 of a yard.
So you could use different fabrics.
You could use different fabric for sure.
But it looks really great with them all the same.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's very cool.
Make it your own. I love that. I love that idea. And for our outer border, we have 1 1/4 yards of fabric. And for that, we used a print from the line. It's so beautiful.
For the backing?
For the backing.
This is beautiful. I love it. So that is 7 3/4 yards.
Yes,
for
7
your backing.
3/4 yards.
If you used a
vertical
print from
seam.
the line.
Yes, correct.
But if you wanted to use a 108.
Yep, you can do 2 3/4 yards.
Perfect. I love that. All right, well, let's get started.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, so this quilt you said was made up with 1 block?
It is. It's 1 block. It's right here, as you can see. And just because you put it on a diagonal, it gives it so much movement.
Yes.
It takes a very simple block and makes it look like you worked really hard and you didn't. And that's what I love about it. I love the illusion that it gives.
Yes.
So
I think using the same fabrics for your sashing and background also kind of makes everything blend together. It's so beautiful.
Like little stepping stones.
Nice.
Yeah.
So will you show us one of these blocks and then
we'll
figure out.
So this is the block, as you can see.
That's much easier than yeah, I love that.
It's really nice, and you're going to treat it like a giant 9-patch, essentially.
All right.
Because you're going to be sewing in rows.
So your pattern comes with a great cutting diagram.
It does, it does. So what I did was I took the liberty of taking the back of the layer cake, and I drew it out to where you can see each cut in that layer cake, but you don't have that.
You have that in the pattern already.
Yes, in the cutting diagram. So you can see exactly how to cut that.
Right.
And it makes it easier, I think, for everyone. So
I think that's great.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's grab a square and get started. It's time to dive in.
Yes, I'm excited.
I can't wait.
Here we go. So here's your 10-inch square. And so what you're going to do is you're going to follow your cutting diagram that I have placed in the pattern.
Right.
And then we're just going to go right
in.
Yes, page 2, for sure.
Okay.
All right, and so I'm going to make sure first this is pinked, so we're going to make sure it's 10.
Double check your size.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. They are 10 inches. So the first cut is going to be a 4-inch cut. I'm lefty, so I'm going to be working the opposite direction. So we're going to cut this first piece. And that's that. We'll put that aside for now, and then I'm going to cut in 2 more strips of 3 inches.
Nice.
Okay. So 3. And then we'll measure, make sure. Yep, that's 3. So then what I like to do is I'll turn these and I'll put them together so we can get our cutting done faster. I put the 2 together.
Yeah, I like to stack things
Yeah,
up.
it makes it easier for me.
I would probably stack up several layer cakes and cut them at the same time just to get this cutting done quicker. I can usually do about 4 without any trouble.
Okay.
Especially for, you know, when you're just doing your like background cuts and stuff like that, or things like this. If I'm squaring, I'll never stack for squaring. Just so you know.
Oh, yeah, no, me either. But that makes sense. But for me, because of the way that my brain works, I like to work one block at a time.
Right.
So I'll do all my cutting from one 10-inch square.
One thing, yeah.
And then make that block and move to the next. It just keeps track for me when I'm doing it.
That's great.
So I just cut them down to 3-inch squares. And then here's your little bit of waste.
Little waste.
Yep.
Got it.
And then I'll put those aside. And then I'll go back to my other piece, which is a 4-inch square, and you need 2 of those.
Nice.
So I'll measure over 4 inches.
Yeah, I feel like the cutting and everything is very efficient for the layer cake.
Yeah, for sure. And you get a lot of real estate in a 10-inch square. That's why I love them so much. They're probably my favorite pre-cut.
I would say mine too.
Yeah.
All right, so we need some background fabric.
Yes, we do. So you'll need 2 4-inch squares, and you're going to draw a line corner to corner in one direction. Place it right sides together with your main print, and then you're going to sew 1/4 inch on both sides of that line.
Excellent. So we're making some half square triangles, huh?
Yes, yes.
Sounds fun.
Here you go. I put that together for you.
Thank you.
And basically when you're doing this, you're going to be doing this for every block. There's half square triangles in different sizes throughout the whole quilt. So
you could chain piece it if you wanted to.
Yes, you could.
But you like to do one block
at a time, I do.
Right?
I like to do one block at a time. And it doesn't flood
I feel like it's always a good idea to do at least one block to get started. And then if you wanted to chain or mass cut things, you could do that after.
Yes. Whatever works for your brain is exactly what you need to do.
Yeah. True story.
Here we go.
Lift that a bit, flip it around, and do it again.
One thing to note, these half square triangles, which is your A and A1 fabric, they are oversized because I gave you a little bit of wiggle room for trimming.
I like that because my seams are not always consistent or straight.
Sure, I understand.
I get distracted or I go too fast or, something. It happens a lot.
There's definitely a truth that not all seam allowances are created equal.
No, we're all a little bit individual. All right, so you got the cutter?
I do. So I like to just cut these apart and then on the line, you're going to lay your ruler and take your rotary cutter or your scissors and cut down the line.
Nice.
And at this point, I'm going to use the Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer B because it's what makes most sense to my brain.
Okay.
And we are going to cut these down to 3 inches.
Oh, you do give us a lot of room.
Yes, I do.
Nice.
So we do that. And we're going to lay our stitch line on their stitch line, and then you're going to trim it off. So there's no room for error.
I love the efficiency of that,
Oh yeah, for sure. And
2
it makes sense for my brain.
Squared up.
Yeah, and then you end up with a perfect one.
For you?
Yes, if you could press to the dark.
I can continue cutting if you'd like.
Whatever you like. Perfect.
It's up to you.
Yeah, and then I could press.
I'll square some of these, yeah.
And what I like to do is I like to press to the dark side.
Do you set your seams?
I do. I always set my seams. I feel like it lays flatter.
It does. I think so too.
I also like to use a little bit of breast press, especially with my half square triangles, because they're sewn on the bias.
Yeah, I was going to say that helps to prevent the bias from stretching and keeps everything in shape.
All right, setting the seams, pressing to the dark side.
All right, got one more and then we will be all done.
A little spritz.
3 inches. I have to say, I don't like to waste things. I like to be very careful and frugal, but I also love having enough room to square my half square triangles without worrying about them not being quite big enough.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's already figured into your yardage that you will need, so it works out.
So we have all 4 of our half square triangles made.
Yes, we do.
And what's next?
Okay, so the next is we are going to put these aside and we are going to make our second set of half square triangles.
Okay. So in the block, that would be these.
Yes, it would be the centerpieces with the accent fabric.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
So from the accent and then the background of this, we're cutting 2.5-inch squares?
Yes, 2.5-inch squares for the background and for the print from your accent fabric.
Okay,
yep.
Great.
And we took that from the line. And what we're going to do is we'll take these. You just need 2 per block. So we're going to take that.
So 2 of each per block, and you've already got the line drawn.
Yes, I do. I already have the line drawn and ready to go. And we're going to sew those the exact same way.
All right, excellent. Now I'm just going to do one of these.
And this is definitely where the best press or your starch comes in handy because they're smaller pieces. I know that there's a great debate to starch or not to starch. I err on the side of caution. I want my blocks to fit and stay nicely.
Yeah.
So
I definitely starch if I feel like I'm working in small spaces.
Yes,
or
it really helps, for sure.
With tight little tiny half square triangles, for sure.
Oh yeah. And you're making a lot of them, so why not make it easier for yourself, you know?
Yes, definitely. Any shortcut will do.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this.
Cut her in half.
In half.
On the line. And then because these start out at 2.5, we have plenty of room here as well.
Yep, and we're going to use our Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer B.
Cut them down to 2 inches?
To cut them down to 2 inches, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, there's one. Right. They're so tiny.
They are very tiny, but I like small pieces. A lot of times when I'm designing, I tend to err towards a smaller block. My sweet spot is about 12.5 inches unfinished.
Yeah.
I think I like the look the best when I'm designing. So, all right, I relaxed my seams, and now I used a little bit of the starch, pressed them.
Excellent.
And one more.
All right,
same thing.
We have some of these already made.
We do.
Here, which is great.
We do.
So yeah, typical half square triangles.
Yep. And there they are. All right, so now at this point, we're going to take our little half square triangles, because I like to work from the center out.
Okay.
We're going to take one of our print squares to start, and then we're going to take our B fabric, which are 2-inch by 3-inch.
Okay, that's more background.
Yes, that's more background, yes. I like to call it my breaker
in the pattern,
unit.
Like on the first page or so, there's diagrams that say cut 50 of these and 30 of that, whatever it is. You've got 4-inch squares, right?
Yeah, 4-inch squares.
2-inch by 3-inch.
Yep, for our B. Everything's labeled by letter, too.
Right,
so it makes it easy.
And you can see that on the chart.
Yeah, and there's also a chart diagram in the left-hand corner of the pattern that will show you the letter placement, because that helps, you know.
Your pattern is so much more technical than what I'm used to. I feel like if we can help kind of bridge the gap between like people who are used to just looking at pictures and sewing, and then also your diagram is kind of like a blueprint, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, because my background is in architecture. I went to school to be an architect, and I'm actually an inspector for the government. And that's why I look at things when I design. I look at it from a very architectural standpoint, and that's how I write. I write like I'm writing a blueprint.
Okay.
So if that makes sense to all my, architects and designers out there, I'm the designer for you.
Nice. Yes.
I
love that.
So what we're going to do is we're going to lay out, because like I said, I work from the center to the outside.
Okay.
And I like to lay mine out because I get turned around being left-handed. So I like to
all
lay.
Of us get turned around. Let me help you, sweetie.
Oh, there you go. See, I just did it. Actually.
Right? I love it.
Well, there you go. So yeah, you want your accent to face towards the outside of the center.
Okay.
And then we're go. And now we're going to treat this. So do you
sew this together right now, or do you lay the entire thing out and then start sewing?
I sew this together so it's done. So what I'll do is I'll treat this like a 9-patch, and then how I work is I work from left to right, but however you do it.
No, that's totally fine.
That'll be great. So
those
right sides together like that. All right, I'm ready. I'll let you sew.
I'm ready.
And then I'm going to just get these ready for you.
Okay.
Just right sides together like that, and then you have this nice big bed. You can lay out your block.
I know. I
and
love
keep it straight.
I love having a good sized table. And then this one.
It's already there for you.
Nice, thank you. I just had to check.
Now, let me ask you this. So now, do you keep your pieces together or do you separate them?
I typically keep them together if I know they're in order.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll get fabric, like I have a struggle. I need to get a different plate on my machine, but I struggle sometimes with the fabric getting sucked under by the press or the feed dogs.
Okay.
And so then I'll like flip something around and sew from the other end. And
Okay.
that's when I know I have to clip all my pieces apart.
So for me, I like to clip them apart because I feel like there's too much movement when I'm trying to keep it together, especially when I finger press. Because I like to finger press at this point. That's very important to me, which she's doing. And I like to press towards the way that they'll nest. Okay. So I'm a big nester. So if you press the top row to the right, I press the middle row to the left, and then the bottom row to the right.
That makes sense.
So then I'll have it for later.
Okay.
All right, and then...
Then these ones go on?
Yep, just like this, and then you're gonna add them.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
I have found that when I'm constructing a block, that finger pressing has been my best friend through my journey.
It's great.
It helps me keep everything straight. And then it saves you from getting up and down to the into the actual iron.
Yes. Yeah, and if you don't feel that that's super precise, you can always get one of those pressing tools. They have these cute
the little rollers
wooden
or whatever.
Or, yeah. Well, it almost looks like a letter opener. You just like slide it along instead of using your thumb or your fingernail.
Sometimes I'll even use the back of a pencil. Just roll it.
That'll work. That will work. Okay.
Looking cute, Nat. I love it.
Here we go.
And so once she's done with that, we'll add these together like 9-patch, sew the rows together.
Okay.
To finish the center unit.
Okay.
So at this point, this is where I like to connect all the rows together. I do it from the top to the middle and then the middle to the bottom.
Right. So we're nesting our seams
nesting the seams.
Finger pressed.
Making sure it fits. I envy anybody who could just sew and not press, in between.
All right, one more.
And then at this point, whichever way it wants to lay is kind of the way that I'll press it. It typically wants to roll to the middle section, so that's what we'll press it towards the center.
Okay, I just want to
make sure
check my nesting.
Yep.
There we go. All right, let's do a little scissors. And
okay.
Sorry, I'll trim some of these.
Yeah, no problem.
There you go.
All right, and so now what we'll do is we'll take it over to our iron, and then we're gonna press towards the center.
All right.
I'm nesting my seams, or relaxing my seams, I should say.
Yes, yes.
And then I'm pressing to the center.
So you don't press any of your seams open?
No. The only time I'll do that is if I have a real big bulk.
Were you worried about points in the middle typically?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. I feel like for me, having it that way, it will lay nicer and make it easier to nest later.
Right.
So, and then that's the center of our block.
Good. So we've got our middle made. What's next?
We do. So what's next is now we're going to construct the whole block. We're going to lay it out the way that we need to. So we're going to take our half square triangles. Those go into the corner.
Nice.
Like this. And then we have our B fabric, which is our 2-inch by 3-inch. We'll lay that. And then our color print. If I can.
It goes together so much easier than it looks.
I know. It looks like you did a lot of work, but it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple block. And I believe it's an antique block. It's called Table for Four.
Oh,
If
cute.
anybody's looking
I
for
love
it.
that.
Yeah, it's
so
in the
that, is that where
encyclopedia.
you got the
Yeah.
family affair from?
Yes, from Family Affair, because it's called
Because it's
Table
about
for
like
Four.
sitting around the table with your
Yeah,
family
exactly.
and sharing a meal. I love that.
Yeah. So then we're gonna now work. I kind of like work my way around whatever fancies.
Yeah.
So
Can
then,
I help?
Yeah, of course. If you want to get those
All
in
right.
the corner,
Cool.
and then we'll lay that there.
Put our little triangles in.
This here, and this here, here, and oops, grab that. And we need one more.
Good. One more 2x3. We've got a little pile over there.
There we go.
Excellent.
And that's it. So now at this point, what I like to do is, like I said, I start from the middle out. So then I will sew these 3 together.
Okay.
And then sew 1/4 inch.
All right. I'll do those 3.
Perfect.
Cool.
And then the top and bottom row will work from left to right. It's so nice seeing how it comes together, because at first you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. And then you lay it out and you're like, oh, okay, like that aha moment.
I feel like so many quilts are like that, where they look very complicated and fancy.
Yes.
But then it turns out, no, they're it's like geometry, right?
Yeah.
Seems harder than it is. All right. When are you finger pressing these as you go as well? Or
I
are we
am,
just
and I'm pressing
waiting?
them to the outside.
Okay.
Because now what I'll do is I'll take these 2 side pieces and they'll be pressed to the outside, because we pressed this to the center. They'll nest, and then I'll sew them together.
Okay, that makes sense. Man, I'm just not good at paying attention to which direction I press things. I just
It was one
Kinda
of the
go with
things. So the person who taught me how to sew on a machine, her name is Marilyn Baker, and I absolutely love her. She's a big reason why I do what I do, and she taught me that pressing is half the battle. It's one of the things she always said to me, and she says if you nest properly to begin with, your blocks will always be successful, and it kind of just stuck with me.
Yeah.
So,
Well, had a little bit of a pull on the thread there, but I think we're going to be just fine.
yep. And so what you want to do is you'll take this now, and then you'll
So because these
nest the seams, because they're to the
they're
outside.
already finger pressed, kind of.
Yep. As long as your seams line up and they match, your block will be successful.
Yeah. I agree with that. Okay.
I know this is the way you're piecing this is a little unconventional than what you're used to, but
Yeah.
it's what makes sense for my brain. So
No, totally. I find a good majority of things can be solved by just rethreading your machine and
Yes.
resetting the bobbin, checking to make sure everything is.
100%, and keeping your machine clean.
Oh yeah.
To all my people out
okay,
there,
all right.
Keeping your
I feel
machine clean is
called
half the
out.
battle.
I don't think I clean my machine frequently enough. That's for sure.
I have
We're
a
not going to get
rule.
into it.
I have a rule. I usually clean mine after every project,
Okay.
because I
okay.
like to make sure that,
You take good care of it.
yeah,
That's your baby.
exactly.
I get
All right, so I press those towards the outside,
it. Okay.
and then I'm going to put it back. And
All
now
right.
I'm going to work across top
Left-
and bottom
left to
from
right.
left to right.
Okay.
And then you're just going to, you could chain piece these if you want.
All right.
Whatever works for you. There's your first one.
Okay. I think we're done.
Yes.
You ready to
We're
give
gonna-
it its final press and then
Yeah.
we'll show it off?
For sure. And I usually press to the outside of
Yeah.
this, because that's the way it
It's-
wants to lay.
It does work so much easier that way for me too.
Yeah.
This fabric is so beautiful.
It
and
really
soft.
is. I love it. And I love a polka dot. It's so beautiful. And we just finished
block is
pressing, and it's done.
It looks
Here's our beautiful
great.
block.
It comes together so much easier
It
than I
does.
thought.
It does, and it's super quick and easy, ready to go.
All right, so I think one of the things that makes this quilt look a little more elegant is that you set it on point. So
Yes,
let's look at the block
definitely.
in the quilt. Show us how it fits in.
Sure. So you're going to have rows, and then they're all going to be on point like this. This is how the block fits.
Great, I love that. All right, and then you've got some sashings.
Yes, some sashing and some cornerstones, and then we have some setting triangles. What's great about this is that you're going to be sewing in rows on a diagonal.
Okay.
So if you come to the top left corner, this is row 1.
All right.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you end with your 9th row, which is just another setting triangle.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so sashings and cornerstones are all cut at 2 inches.
2 inches by 11 inches.
2-inch square, and then the length of the block,
Correct.
right? So,
Correct.
cool.
And
then our setting triangles, you have some of that, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Actually. So
when you set something on point, I find it to be very fascinating how like your corners are different sizes than your side triangles.
yes, because you need it to be smaller for the corners so they fit and they arch correctly, because that's what I call it. I call this part the arching.
Okay.
And you'll need a bigger setting triangle here to bridge that gap between your sashing and your cornerstones.
Okay.
So this is how this goes. Here are your cornerstones, or your corner
little
setting
corner
triangles.
So those are all cut from a 13-inch square.
Correct. And you're going to
cut
cut those in
both
fourth.
directions.
Correct.
So you need one for
the
that whole quilt.
Correct. And then your larger ones, you're going to cut them in half, which is an 11-inch.
Right.
And then they go in just like this. And you're going to need 6 of those cut on a diagonal in half.
Right.
And that's how it fits.
And so what size is this quilt?
It's a nice big 83 by 83.
That is
it's
a great size. I love
for
that.
Sure. I love it.
All right. Well, I've really enjoyed having you on and
I've
learning
enjoyed
how to
being
make
here
this.
with you.
It's
Thank you so much for having me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, and hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the Family Affair quilt from Bryn Mawr Quilts and the Missouri Star Quilt Company. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining me for this video today. I hope that you enjoyed it and that it inspired your creativity. And guys, we're at almost 1 million quilters strong in our community. So if you know of anybody that you think might like to join us and learn quilting with us, bring them on in, put your arm around them, and tell them to subscribe to our channel so that we can all learn and grow together.